Do we want to do like an introduction so we can
we
figure out what we're doing?
We should probably say thanks for 1,000 subs, because we're basically like 2 subs away from getting that. So
I know, so close.
Well, congratulations. That's
Congratulations.
a lot more than I've ever.
I do find it kind of funny because the last time we collabed with Theo, we just hit 500, and now we've doubled. So, well, it lines up perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
I'm super excited.
Yeah, nice milestone.
It's like the milestone because now we paid for it. Other than our patrons, who are amazing. And we appreciate them. Okay, so other than thank you for 1,000 subs, what are we doing tonight?
I forget.
Okay, if I recall correctly, the idea was to watch season 3, episode 10 and episode 11, because it's like a 2-episode arc. And we were just going to kind of go through and discuss kind of focusing on nuance or the lack thereof.
That's what I remember the plan being.
Okay. I have a half decent memory in that regard then. That's good to know.
Let's go.
For me, it's been too long since we initially discussed what we were going to talk about here. So my brain just like, no, you don't need that information anymore. Get rid of that.
Useless information.
Yeah, nobody needs that.
How do you want to go about this, by the way? Are we just going to commentate over? Should I be asking you to pause? Or
If you ask me to pause, then I will react faster than if you just start talking and my brain has to go, oh, wait, someone's talking. I should pause.
That makes sense.
Alibi never tells. She just starts talking.
Yeah, I should probably
sometimes my brain
in the habit of doing that.
Like,
I have a habit of doing the same because usually I'll start from a fairly small thought that I want to just, say quickly, and then suddenly it's a longer thought, and now I'm just talking over the show for 20 minutes.
In our case, the show kind of tends to drown out anybody who's talking. And so Alibi will start saying something. And sometimes, I think it's just going to be a quick thing. And then she's still going. And then like in the final cut, like you can't hear anything she's saying until I pause it. I'm like, why didn't she like start to talk and then be like, hey, can you pause it so I can talk? And then I would have paused it. But she did.
I do need to do that, yeah.
Funny thing is, I can't remember which Coruscant Guard commander was actually responsible for the droids getting through in the second part of this arc.
Well, we'll get there.
The box.
Wasn't it just like a random guy?
I think it was a random guy.
Or 2 random guys?
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there when we...
I just remember Tamura through someone saying, droids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That I believe that is a line, yes.
Yeah.
So in this, it's Bradley B. Baker.
Fear is a great motivator. Just so everybody knows.
True. Yeah, it is sometimes.
Alibi and I have mentioned in our reaction series, it's like normally on their own, the quotes aren't bad, but it's like, okay, now how does this apply to the episode?
While clone troopers suffer casualties at alarming rates, the Galactic Senate convenes an emergency session.
More troops are needed. The Republic cannot afford to let the Separatists gain any more ground.
Our generals inform us that troops in the field continue to perform valiantly. What we cannot afford is to be irresponsible. The Republic is near bankruptcy due to the cost of this war.
Do you like already how we have the framing of this through the way Padme looks at the two of them? Like a person says, we should get more troops, and Padme makes a frowny face, and then Bale says, we shouldn't get more troops, and Padme makes a smiley face. Even though we as viewers don't really have any context as to, well, all we know is the announcer narrator person has just told us that they've been losing clones at alarming rates. So I don't know how much like troops continuing to show valor in the field counts for, because you just run out eventually, I guess.
I know.
Especially when they're considering to bill it as like every victory that they keep on getting is apparently, presumably, extremely costly. Though we're never, like, within the context of TCW, actually given like any definitive numbers as to how large the clone army and the larger GAR is in
That's
this
a good.
context. And, well, when I was referring to the wider GAR, I mean like non-clone personnel, because in the Clone Wars multimedia project, the beginnings of what becomes the Imperial Army is essentially like planetary defense forces of worlds aligned to the Republic, and like the judicial forces that existed before the war that specifically worked to for like anti-pirate activity and such.
That's sort of a question I had for you, actually, related to this. Is it ever made clear anywhere, because I'm pretty sure it's not in the Clone Wars, what exactly either side hopes to accomplish in the fighting of the war? Like, ignoring, Palpatine's plot and all that. Like, what does the Republic want to happen?
I don't know about the Republic, but at least in this, is it this episode, or is it maybe his friend in need? But like, basically, I think the Separatists just want to separate and be recognized as a separate entity.
Right.
And the Republic is like, no, you belong to us.
Comes off kind of comical in that way. I guess maybe if you want to try and draw parallels to the American Civil War, but I don't know, man. It's very strange, because most of the time, from what I remember, the Confederate Independent States, like they are like the aggressors in most of the conflicts. They're the ones who are showing up on random planets to like harass the villagers and the natives of that planet to accomplish some evil scheme that they're on, because this is a kids show.
They're the bad guys.
Yeah,
Well,
they're the
I
bad
just
guys.
point out that in the expanded universe, the corporations that are responsible for largely the deployment of the droid army is for the Confederacy across the galaxy were legitimately pulling some cutthroat corporate tactics for a decade before the war, at least
Right.
as far back as when Obi-Wan was still a Padawan to Qui-Gon Jinn.
Oh, right.
That's including Commerce Guild, Trade Federation, Banking Clan, Corporate Alliance, and such. Hang on a second.
So basically, they were kind of doing the warmongering side of it.
We've got a really clear example of what's going on with the Clone Wars in terms of its lack of nuance just right here already, because we have no real context for any of this other than that, more clones sounds good when you're fighting a war, but Padme has, through Padme's expressions, we made clear what the right stance is and what the wrong stance is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally like telling you how to feel. It's like, okay, can I just decide for myself, maybe? You don't need to baby your audience. Like,
They
I
will
get that
typically
this
come
is
to
a
their own
kid's show,
conclusions.
but still.
Even kids, they can think about it. The kids are
exactly.
cleverer than we like to give them credit for, I tend to think.
It's also like, if you pay attention to the characters that are for and against, the bad guys look bad and the good guys look good. Right? Like you've got the pointy, growly, like weird looking guys on the one side, and then you've got the like more friendly shaped and more human looking on the other side.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I wonder which side we're supposed to root for.
Some worrying implication in that as well, just through, the fact that the people advocating for the bad side are all the aliens, and the people advocating for the good side are both human.
Well, they do have what's his name, Anaconda Far side with Padme and Bail Organa, but like
happen.
he's kind of the minority on their side.
And then you look at even just the way he looks as compared to Mr. Trade Federation over here.
See, that's my point, right? It's like his design is circular, it's friendly, it looks nice, he's got those starry eyes, whereas like this guy, he's just like the embodiment of grouch, and
he's gnarled and grouchy, and he has this, I heard it in the way he speaks, he has this sinister intonation that's like, this is a villain. The people on one side of this quote-unquote moral dilemma are just outright villainous. And it's made extra clear later on, from what I remember of this. So.
Yeah. Oh, I kind of skimmed through the episodes earlier today just to kind of refresh my memory on them. And, oh man, it gets so blatant. It's hilarious.
If we pass Senator Sam's bill, we will gain access to the needed funds.
But this bill essentially deregulate the banks? A small price to pay to finance the war, is it not?
And see, like this is the thing people never say. we must keep the war going.
Yeah, I was
That's not-
about to
no.
say, like, what the heck?
A little on the nose.
I think maybe you could have them be saying, like, we have to defend ourselves or something, but considering they are in a war where the other side, again, appears to be the aggressor most of the time. So what do they think is going to happen if they just stop trying to defend themselves and then try to negotiate from a position of, having a weak army or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It turns out that gives the other side a little bit of leverage.
Advantage.
Hasn't this war gone on long enough?
Are you suggesting we surrender to the Separatists?
Of course not. But negotiation might be a better course of action.
You can't negotiate with those animals.
The Separatists are animals, by the way.
Yeah, random guy just shouts from the rafters, you can't negotiate with those animals. This is... I don't know, man. How long into the war are we at this point?
This is season
3, right?
Yeah.
Season 3, episode 10 takes place in 21 BBY. So it's kind of the end of the second year, if
Right.
you will.
So, like, about 2 years ago, these people, those animals, were all in the Senate with him. So, what's going on there? I don't know.
If you're not with me, then you're an animal.
You're my enemy.
Exactly.
That legislation would have meant billions for us.
I tried my best to push the bill through.
It's so funny straight away. Like, they're all in league and they're all just trying to profiteer, and there's no moral argument or anything. They're all just sinisterly trying to take advantage of the situation.
Exactly.
Like, great, cool. We'll sort it then.
We're not even 2.5 minutes in.
Yeah, and they've just already preloaded the moral dilemma. I don't know if there's heroes on both sides anymore. I'm not gonna lie.
It doesn't seem to be.
Senator Amidala is the problem.
I know people who could do something about her.
Gentlemen, the banking clan and trade federation are about business, not violence.
In this case, our business is violence.
Precisely. With or without
do you mean
Senator
precisely?
Amidala, the Galactic...
I know.
Wait, I must have missed this last. Wait, he's like, hold on, we're about business, not violence. Our business is violence. Yep. What was the point of this exchange? What just happened?
I know. I was
just
so
happened?
confused when I watched this earlier. I was like, what? Literally, the space of 3 lines, and it's like, did no one proofread the script?
Nope.
This would be so easy to catch.
Perhaps some unexpected bloodshed on Coruscant may change a few minds.
Coruscant has not been attacked in over 1,000 years.
It has a false sense of security. There are some powerful clients on the other side who could help us, shall we say, make the point.
I like this plan.
No one cares what you think.
Ow.
So I guess that kind of lines up with what you were saying, Alpha, that like it was mostly the people who were profiteering who were kind of pushing the separatist side of the war. But the thing is, these are Republic senators.
It's really strange because they're with the banking clan and the trade federation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm crazy, but I could have sworn they ended up on the side of the Confederacy.
Yeah, see, I think it's just a few episodes ago in Sphere of Influence when the Pantoran girls get kidnapped and Ahsoka goes with Senator Chuchi to rescue them. The Trade Federation guy says like, "Oh, we're neutral. You know, we're not actually part of the Republic. That's why we can do business with the Separatists." But it's like, well, then why do you have a seat on the Republic Senate?
Yeah, what's going on there?
It makes
These are
sense.
retcons from Disney canon material. This is coming from a book that I had received as a present, so I just basically read it just to satisfy the family member that got it for me. Apparently the Trade Federation had a schism, possibly engineered like early on in the war or something, like before this series started, or so. That's apparently how they're explaining like the contradiction between what we see in Attack of the Clones and here. So
Right, because I think the guy also says, like, oh, Newt Gunray doesn't represent us. Like, Newt Gunray, like, defected to the Separatists, but the rest of the Trade Federation is still neutral, but we still have a seat in the Republic Senate.
yeah, it's also the same problem with the Intergalactic Banking Clan as well, because they're pretty much doing the same thing, and are responsible for the Battle of Munilist in the Clone Wars Multimedia Project. Which is one of the major battles that's actually shown in the micro series.
And it's so weird because Newt and the boys still seem to have like resources.
Oh yeah.
So I'd wonder, like, did he defect with like a sizable portion of the Trade Federation? What does that look like? Was there like a schism?
I don't know. It's not in the Clone Wars anywhere.
Yeah. It's not something they're really interested in telling us about, which is weird considering it's, you know, kind of fundamental, considering where the Trade Federation is in the films. I don't know.
Yeah, you'd think that's important information.
You must ask the Jedi Council to speak with Chancellor Palpatine.
Don't involve me in this.
A peaceful solution is the only way out of this morass of war.
That's not my role, Padme.
Why isn't it your role? Aren't we Jedi Knights? Isn't it our duty to speak our minds to advise the Chancellor?
I suggest you teach my young Padawan a thing or two about politics.
After debate, I was hoping she learned a great deal.
Truthfully, I don't understand any of it. I know the Separatists are evil, but all anyone argued about was banking deregulation, interest rates, and, well, almost nothing about why we're fighting in the first place.
Why you're fighting is by this point probably taken as a given, considering that the war's like ongoing. You know, I think. Imagine if someone brought up, why are we fighting this war? I imagine they would get strange looks. Like, I thought we, you know, sort of hashed this one out when we got into the war in the first place, because we went to war trying to do something.
Yeah.
I know Ahsoka's got
And
a
I'm surprised
juvenile
this wasn't.
perspective, but it seems like a juvenile perspective that the show wants us to agree with.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ahsoka really should know at that point.
It's
But
also
the Republic
that
would
she
have used
just
this
doesn't
major.
care. She's like, oh, I'm in on the action. I'm happy.
Yeah, she doesn't seem to particularly care about the logistics of the war either, concerning apparently all this flew over her head.
Yeah, I hate to be that guy, but money is kind of important. That's why it's kind of annoying that Bale's like economic argument just gets brushed off. Like, hey, maybe we don't have enough money for all of these new clones. Maybe that's a valid concern to actually have, rather than the moral concern of, let's stop going to war with the people who are going to war with us. That's really nice. That is really nice. That would be really cool if that could happen and war could stop. But I don't know. Factions don't go to war over nothing. There's reasons.
Yeah, as I
for it.
recall, they did try to execute a Republic senator and 2 Jedi in an execution arena.
They may have done that. That you know, that might have been a bit rude.
What? No, I also find it interesting that, like, basically Anakin is like, oh, it's not the Jedi's role to get involved in this way, and instead of Ahsoka being like, but aren't we peacekeepers? She's like, we're supposed to speak our minds and advise the Chancellor. It's like, what? No, that's not your job. What are you talking about? Do you even know what you're supposed to be doing as a Jedi?
Since when was that part of their responsibilities?
I'm pretty sure it never was.
And like, I guess lastly, Ahsoka, she says that the Separatists are evil.
Oh yeah.
And then questioned why they are fighting in the first place. Is the fact that they're evil not, like, I don't know.
Well, I think that's her point, right? Is that, like, oh, well, no one was talking about the fact that we have to fight because the Separatists are evil.
Right.
So
I don't know.
It's
very strange.
Anakin really, like, piles it on here. It's great.
But let me simplify it. The Separatists believe the Republic is corrupt, but they're wrong, and we have to restore order.
Maybe talking to the Jedi Council isn't the role for you after all. Thanks for your help. Come on, Ahsoka. You told me to teach her about politics, so I'm going to.
I love how a senator can just take a Jedi Padawan. Just be like, okay, you're learning from me now.
And that's just fine. I'm sure they weren't doing anything important during wartime. You know?
Also, I'd like to point something out. Anakin, Obi-Wan warned you about this. You don't trust a politician. Now they've kidnapped your Padawan.
There you go.
Also, from like a perspective going on like in universe, I guess, what did Anakin say that was wrong?
Well, I suppose that here Padme is supposed to be in the right, so they're painting him as a bad guy because he's being pragmatic, whereas Padme's being, I guess, a bleeding heart would be the best way to put it.
But the thing is, like, Padme knows that there's corruption within the Senate. She's been fighting it.
Yep.
So when Anakin's like, oh, the Separatists are wrong, the Republic's not corrupt, then she should have been, I mean, she does kind of say, like, maybe you shouldn't. Yeah.
That's where I'm frustrated by a lack of context again, because I'm wondering, because from everyone else's perspective, it seems like this war's got to go on, but I'm wondering, would there actually be a problem if the Republic just went, okay, fine, the Confederacy exists now. We're going to go and do our thing again. You guys can be over there.
Yeah, see, that's the weird thing, because they're like, oh, are you suggesting we surrender to the Separatists? It's like, okay, all surrender means, apparently, is that we recognize them as an entity.
I don't know.
What do we lose?
Yeah, what's the problem with that? Then you probably just go straight back to trading with them and everything.
Yeah, because I mean, the major, like the Trade Federation is already on both sides. So it's like, well, I mean, like maybe there's, trade routes, like you'd have to negotiate all sorts of things with them now that they're, kind of like their own space country conglomerate thing. I don't know the words. But yeah, like, are you really losing all that much? Stop spending money on war. You stop sending people off to die. Like, it just seems like a win situation here.
That's exactly what I mean, because the Republic is all in on this war. Like, because apparently if they are close to bankruptcy and they're needing to, like, deregulate the banks and really just go crazy to keep fighting it, that they are, like, in it to win it. So what's so important about winning this war that they're willing to throw that much, I guess, money and manpower at it?
Well, keep in mind, Palpatine is motivating a good deal amount of this behind the scenes.
Yeah, but he'd have to give them some sort of motivation. He can't just be like, hey, guys, I'm going to control everything. Won't that be awesome?
Like, no, I don't know if that would be awesome, actually.
He's got to dangle something for them. But yeah, other than those who are profiteering, who is benefiting from this?
Maybe we're supposed to believe that all he needs is like the war profiteers on both sides, and that's enough to keep it going. Like, if you're really, really charitable to this pair of episodes, I think that could be how you look at it, is there's genuinely good people on both sides that want a peaceful resolution, but war profiteering is, ruining it all.
Okay, when we're referring to war profiteering, we're also referring to the industry that's specifically focused on the manufacturing of the war material, right? Because, funnily enough, we don't actually see any mention of QOD in this series, or, well, like Corellia, and those have like major corporations that would have been taking government contracts to build warships and stuff.
Right.
It's like, for this show at least, it's like they want you to believe that all trade is done by the Trade Federation and all banking is done by the banking clans.
Yeah, they really lean into that. Like, I think when we were going through the season 6 banking arc, and it's just like, is this planet really like the only bank? Like, this just seems so stupid.
I have no idea how that could be the case. Galaxies are huge, and there's a lot of people in them.
There's one bank.
There is one bank in the galaxy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh dear.
You'll be even more confused once you actually get a proper EU galaxy map of the whole galaxy, Theo, because it's really ridiculous after looking at how many planets there are in the galaxy.
I've never looked closely at one of those things because I just start to look at it and I get dizzy.
Eyes just start to glaze over.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, okay, there's a lot. Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Good to know.
My representatives in the Republic are relying on you, General. See that your droids complete their mission.
Oh yeah, something else just occurred to me. In the EU, like Coruscant would be like under heavy surveillance by, well, internal security agencies like Compnor and stuff. So that sort of shit would have had to have been heavily covered up by Palpatine to even be allowed to go on. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love how Dooku's like, I have representatives in the Republic Senate. I feel like this should be entitled, bad guys on both sides as opposed to heroes on both sides. 'Cause that's more what we're seeing.
Yeah, which is reaffirming what we already knew, which is there is in fact a conspiracy on both sides in order to accomplish something for one of the people who's manipulating both sides. Crazy.
Mhm.
I had no idea. I never watched Attack of the Clones or any of the prequels, I guess.
There you go. I only watched the original trilogy, and now I need to watch TCW to fill me in on everything else.
What? There's a plot to destroy the Jedi? Oh no.
What? No!
Who's he? He is a she. A senator in the Confederacy of Independent Systems.
I just love how Ahsoka's, like, not caring. She's just, like, looking at her fingernails like, oh, okay, I need a mani-pedi. It's like the lack of care.
Thanks for showing how little you care about what's, the fate of the war you have been personally fighting for the past however many years. I don't know how long she's been personally involved.
I mean, as far as I know, the TCW movie is, like, pretty close to the beginning of the war. And
Yeah,
that's when she's introduced as Anakin's Padawan. So basically, since the war started, she's been involved in it.
Yeah.
One of Dooku's pawns?
The Separatists used to be a part of the Republic. I was close with many of the senators who left. I may not agree with them, but they're more than pawns.
If you think negotiating is the right thing to do, let's talk to her.
The Senate's made it illegal.
Illegal?
You're a Jedi, which gives you special clearance.
Right.
And Jedi are allowed to travel to neutral worlds like Mandalore, where we could then board a cargo ship to a separatist system.
So, where are we heading?
Praxis.
They're just gonna get on a ship and then get on another ship. And, again, does Ahsoka have nowhere to be? Does Padme have nowhere to be? They're just gonna
Apparently
walk
not.
off and go on a mission?
And it's, the galaxy is very small, so they'll get there lickety-split and get back before anybody notices they're gone.
Surely. In a galaxy.
You
The other
say
thing
that,
is-
but Anakin brings up later that they did in fact notice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they noticed. I don't think it's ever explicitly mentioned that Raxus was the capital for the Separatists during the war. I never realized that until I was
Oh.
like watching some random YouTube video. Like, I just thought Raxus was a random, like, I thought it was where Bonteri was, and then they had to go somewhere else for, like, the separatist Senate meeting. But no, it's all there on Raxus. Like, that's the capital. Like, we only see it in this one episode, and it's never even explicitly stated to be the capital for the separatists. It's like, we're not supposed to care or know about the separatists at all, but we're supposed to think that this is a very nuanced portrayal of both sides.
This is a nuanced conflict in which the separatists, they are people as well with, noble ambitions of their own, even if they disagree with those in the Republic. Also, we see one of them for all of like 5 minutes or so on a planet that we're never even told is important, and then there is a brief scene in Parliament, and then that's it. We
Yeah.
almost never hear from them again.
No, it's great. The other thing is that I forget where I saw it or heard it pointed out, but like oh yeah, I think it was our friend Magnus Media. He kind of mentions that Padme here, she's like, oh, they're not pawns, right? Because this is nuanced, right? So we're being told that that not everybody's bad, but then it's like, but they are pawns because like Dooku is pure evil.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, what? No, he's a good guy, and like we just support him, but like what? It's like, you're absolutely pawns. You have no idea what's going on. And you're just like, the audience knows that this guy's pure evil and he's just using you.
It's the
You're a
strangest
pawn.
thing. I mean, yeah, like in the most literal sense, they are all pawns. And like, I'm imagining just anyone talking positively about Dooku, they just say to them, hey, wasn't he like the one presiding over the execution of that Republic senator and those 2 Jedi? Didn't he do that?
Yeah, you'd think that would be...
That might make him seem a bit more like a bad guy, or at the very least, not that interested in peace and, poorly motivated on that front.
I forget exactly what Mina says later, but she like defends him, and it's just like, okay,
God,
yeah.
I remember
You
that.
remember? Do you not remember when he was literally trying to execute me, girl? Like,
wait, yeah, hold on, yeah, that's so funny. That's so funny. He was literally trying to execute Padme herself, and Padme is in a conversation with a person who is showing like
supposedly her
approval of this
friend.
guy.
And is just like, oh, but he's not that bad.
He tried to kill me.
Yeah, she does not bring that up.
Wow.
Because, they're not pawns. We're supposed to think they're not pawns. So she couldn't possibly bring that up and have that conversation go anywhere that doesn't immediately show the problems here.
That might create some actual nuance, like the idea that she has this image of Dooku. Again, somehow we'll try and ignore the logistical issues of how the hell a person could have that image of Dooku after that event. But, let's say that she does. And then, Padme raises that as an issue. It's like, so this person literally tried to kill me. Do you think they're really that interested in peace? And, we can have a conversation about that. But the show's not really interested in that sort of conversation. It wants to show you goodies, like in an action figure, like playing with my dolls sort of sense. There's the good guys, and these ones are the good guys on the other team, and then there's the bad guys on each team as well.
You have been designed for this mission to be the ultimate infiltration units. Some of you may not return. Actually, none of you will return. But don't let that get in your way. Is that clear?
Why the heck is he making that speech to them?
I was gonna say, I love how he has to be like, okay, droids who have no feelings, you just follow your programming. Don't let the fact that you're going to be destroyed stop you from doing your job.
Cool, thanks. It's not within my programming to let that fact stop me, so thanks, boss.
Yeah, maybe that's what the droid said. It's just like, are you serious, bro? Like, why are you even wasting our time here?
I know it's a bit early for this. Like, this is the first scene in this, I guess, part of the episode, but those scenes are all a complete waste of time anyway, so whatever.
Yeah.
I am shocked at how easy this appears. I know he calls them the ultimate infiltration units, but you just apparently put some robots that look like cleaning droids on a ship, fly them to Coruscant, and everyone's like, yeah, that's fine. And then they can just go wherever they want, and that's just fine.
If I remember correctly, it's an obviously separatist ship, so I have no idea how it managed to make it past the orbital blockade of Republic capital ships and fighters and space stations.
We'll see. We'll see if they actually show it, or if they're just like, somehow that happened.
Black Box is just a shot of them in a landed pad.
Yeah, probably.
Identification, please.
Excuse me, is this Platform B?
Platform B.
This way.
And it's just that simple.
Ta-da!
Ta-da, we're here. There was 2 droids here. They ask one person for identification of the however many that just came off of the ship. And you just walk past them and you're good. Did they have a plan for if a droid had approached them?
Well, this was like the Bontari's aides interrupted him, like, just for that purpose. Oh, is this Platform B, right? So she creates a diversion while the other one like scoots them away.
What if there was like one more droid? What if there was one more droid?
What if it was
or
like
if there
a
were
line
even like a battalion of smarter droids here?
Line?
God, can you imagine a queue of some kind?
I know. Instead of everybody just like scattering to the wind, and nobody has a problem with this.
Yeah, there's also the fact that there really should have been like myriads of devices detecting for force sensitives.
Is that a thing?
Just so that they can keep Jedi from potentially infiltrating Separatist space.
That would make sense. Yeah, they should have that.
Especially considering they've got a leader who's a priority target of the Jedi Order.
Of course.
Wow.
It's great.
Or maybe teams of Republic commandos to destroy droid factories or something like that. Because those were things that happened. Especially in the Republic Commando game, that's like in the first few sections of Geonosis missions.
Right.
Based on what we're seeing, the clones should have been able to just get in here just fine, you know? You sneak your way onto a ship, you come up against 2 droids, and then you're golden.
And this
Have
is
at
the
it.
Separatist capital. Okay, yep.
This is the Separatist capital. They have much more lax security than Coruscant.
Yep.
Much.
Maybe they're just very trusting.
I guess so. But they're the good guys, apparently.
Ahsoka, this is Mina Bonteri. She was my mentor when I was growing up on Naboo.
You're a separatist?
Well, of course, my dear. What were you expecting?
Well,
Now
that
come.
can't be
I have a
possible.
See, that
You're
raises its own
ugly.
problems. How she was apparently a mentor to Padme on Naboo, and yet is literally in bed with the people that blockaded Naboo.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I would love to know how exactly that works and how Padme doesn't hold a grudge.
Yeah, and how exactly was she mentoring Padme when she's from a completely different planet?
She was the representative for Onderon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't exactly make any reference to the refugee movement that's made reference to in Attack of the Clones.
It's great. It's great. Oh man, I can't. But like
They got her from the same box that they got Rush Clovis.
Oh, I forgot about him.
Oh, Clovis is great.
Yeah,
We
he's
love
a
Clovis.
gem.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, notice how the good person on the Separatist sides is a human.
Isn't that strange?
Isn't that strange?
Just a fairly normal-looking human.
I was going to point out the fact that she sounds similar to one of those old British women like Helen Mirren or Judi Dench or something. That
Right.
the voice actress.
She's very prim and proper.
Obviously, they were going
Prim
for
and proper in a
some.
sort of gentle way, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like the fact that Ahsoka's like, what? You can't be a separatist. You're normal.
I'm reminded of the OT a little bit. The way Luke is introduced to Yoda, because he has this huge misconception about what makes a Jedi. So when he sees the little funny gremlin man,
Right.
acting weird and giggling to himself, he's like, "What is this? This isn't what makes me a big heroic Jedi man. This isn't what a Jedi is." And
Yeah.
Star Wars making a point there in terms of how your appearance doesn't necessarily reflect what you are as a person or anything about you in that sense. And now here we are just doing that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Full just going back to the stereotypes. You look good, you are good. You look bad, you are bad.
Padme, it's so good to see you.
Yes. How things have changed since the last time we met.
That conversation's really funny because it seems like the sort of conversation they would have been having in the ride over.
Yeah.
Are they just reiterating it here, or
I guess they just traveled in silence.
No, we'll talk when we get there.
Yeah.
I promise.
Shush, don't say anything.
It is Confederacy custom to travel in silence.
I mean, I usually forgive that sort of thing, but yeah, it is weird when you think about it.
Yeah, I'd prefer it a little bit if the show wasn't trying to take itself so seriously, if you know what I mean.
Right. Right.
It turns on the adult part of my brain that is interested in the adult sensibilities that I have in terms of morality and the way things can be written. And so I start noticing things like that much more frequently, and I'm less willing to just brush them off.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can understand that.
May I?
I can handle it.
Raised by wolves, Padawan Tano has been.
Yeah, I do not get what her immediate standoffishness is all about. I guess it's just like
I
you're a
understand.
separatist.
I understand she thinks that they're evil, and the problem is she's right to think that they're evil because every other episode in this show is, hey, Dooku or Grievous or whoever else is doing another thing where they fire up the little alien village wood chipper in order to feed another droid army.
Yeah.
It's really hard to have a nuanced conflict when one side is doing that because you're a kids show that needs like episodic action sometimes.
Yeah, there's 133 episodes. One of them is like, nah, bro, there's shades of gray. It's like, okay, yeah, you really convinced me.
Sure.
He's grown so much, Mina.
Time won't stop, even if we are at war. And I'm afraid these events are shaping his young life.
With all due respect, as a
You're only
separatist,
2 years
didn't
in,
you
woman.
create this war?
Would it surprise you to know that many of the people you call separatists feel the same way about the Republic and the Jedi?
Okay, but like how though?
It really needs to be pointed out that she's actively abetting in the faction that tried to literally shake down the Republic if the Military Creation Act wasn't passed and if the Republic didn't find out about the clone army. So, yeah, she's just okay with extorting people. Oh,
It tried to execute Padme and 2 Jedi. You just
Yeah.
have to keep belaboring it.
It's great. I mean, like, yeah.
I bet she believes that the Geonosians being occupied didn't deserve it, even after they literally poured a great deal of manpower to build so many droid armies that it took great effort and lots of casualties for the 192,000 in soldier force that was deployed at Geonosis to barely win the battle. And even that, most of the separatist ships that were on planet literally escaped. Like a quarter of one of the types of separatist ship, literally, he was able to make it into orbit. And the techno unit ships took like 50% casualties.
Jesus.
Yeah. And that was through the use of the self-propelled heavy artillery turbo lasers. They were doing most of the heavy lifting against the Trade Federation core ships. Like gunships and stuff would have been able to take out the Techno Union ships.
Seriously though, how would she cash out the statement, you know, you in the Republic and the Jedi, you started this war? Like, what did they do that started the war?
Yeah, I love how
specifically.
she doesn't elaborate on that at all. She just goes to, oh, Lux's father was like that.
She said, anyway, yeah, she's like, anyway, this boy's dead father would have said, no, you. I bet you feel bad now.
Yes, and all the dead Jedi that probably still lay on Geonosis, some of whom probably got strangled by Grievous in the catacombs and got their lightsabers stolen, would be very happy to agree with that statement. Oh, wait, no, they wouldn't.
Maybe I could speak with him.
I love that.
If only you could. He was setting up a base on Argonar when clones attacked. My husband fought bravely in self-defense, but was killed.
Is it?
So those clones weren't firing in self-defense either?
The funny thing is we have no context. It's like he was setting up a base on Argonar. Is Argonar under separatist control, or did like the separatists occupy it and the Republic were just like coming to take it back? And like, you know, it's like, oh, he fought in self-defense while setting up a military target.
I'd need, like, I guess some specificity on this, but like, have we ever seen the Jedi fighting non-droids, essentially? The Jedi and the clones in this show? Because I feel like almost every single time before this, at least, they're fighting droids or they're fighting, like, the evil monsters or whatever. Well, I don't remember them ever fighting, like, separatist soldiers or anything like that.
No, we never see any soldiers or anything like that. There are some generals. That guy
Don't forget
who
about the Ambarans. They
tries
technically
to.
count as recent defectors.
Right.
But the Umbaran arc is in season 4. So up until this point, I think we've seen that guy who was synthesizing the Blue Shadow virus.
Yeah.
And we've seen the general who was there to exterminate the Lurmen to test their new weapon.
It just feels
Those are the
so
two that come to
dishonest to
mind.
suddenly go, by the way, the clones have been fighting like regular people and killing them off screen. We haven't showed you any of that, of course, because
Yeah.
you know,
They're the
why?
heroes, but
Yeah.
but now they're not.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
You might want to do a bit of, I hate this phrase, but it's worth using here. Do a bit of show, don't tell. Show me the fact that there are, in fact, like real people on the separatist side who believe in the separatist cause and are willing to fight for it. And
Yeah.
sometimes they die for it because that's how a war works, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Rather than just telling me that, by the way, off screen, the Jedi and the clones are just attacking and killing regular people. We're not going to give you any context either, so you have no idea what was going on here. Just feel sad now, please.
They do that all the time. All the time.
Everything is surface.
Lamp shading, isn't it?
No, lamp shading is more so
Or
when
gaslighting?
like lamp shading is when you as a writer kind of like know there's a problem there and you acknowledge it but don't do anything about it. Shading is often like tongue-in-cheek, kind of self-deprecating, kind of yeah, that problem's there. Now ignore it, please. I didn't want to deal with it, but yeah, gaslighting is more so what you think based on the experiences, the things you've seen, heard, whatever. Like, that is all wrong. You have to believe what I'm saying.
Excuse me. I think I'll get some air.
Oh man. So first she's like, oh yeah, Lux's father would disagree with you. And then Ahsoka's like, oh, well, maybe I can talk to him. Like, she expects to be able to like change his mind. And then Mina's like, oh, well, he's dead. And she's, oh, look at the time. I'm a go now.
What's the hard lesson she's supposed to be sort of learning about the war here? That people die in wars?
Yeah.
Which I guess that is kind of like a truth that can be easy to overlook when you're not seeing it, but I'm sorry, she's seeing it. She's on the front lines.
On the front lines.
And then we cut away and that conversation's over.
Yeah, no, but I think, yeah, it's just the fact, like, she doesn't have to deal with it. She just, I'm gonna get some air, and leaves. And so it's, instead of having this opportunity to have like a deeper conversation, it's just, nope, we're not going to do that.
It seems like they want to portray Ahsoka as like earnest and like sincere, but I guess undereducated or something like that on, the goings on of politics and the war and the fact that her enemies are more human than she might like to think in some way. But we're not actually going to deal with that. We're just going to say that, I'm here as a human being on the other side, and here is a reference to another human being that died. I'm not going to confront you in any capacity about what that means for the fact that, like, there are real people who believe in the cause of the separatists. You're just going to walk away and get some air, and the scene's going to end. We cut away. We're done with that scene now.
Mm-hmm.
It's so baffling to me because, like, there is so much there
I
that they
technically
could have
win the
done.
bet here.
They could have done so many things, and they did nothing.
Yeah, it's great. This show is so deep and really, really tackles like mature topics.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah, Emmy. They completely bypassed the blockade.
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah.
The greeting droids, finally. Don't waste any time. Get to work.
Before the war, I was always told Jedi were good.
And now?
There are a lot of terrible things happening. A lot of killing. And now my friends are saying the Jedi are to blame.
I'm the first Jedi you've ever met, aren't I?
Yes.
Look at me. I'm not so bad, am I?
Gross.
Yeah.
I know.
Mega.
I know. It's
ew.
like, okay.
Gross.
Like, they really do the pan up. Like,
I know, right?
No, not bad at all.
Well, it seems boys are the same whether they're Republic or Separatist.
And then she's like, look at me. He looks at her. Oh, you look at me, you disgusting.
What were you
How
expecting?
much he have
I
actually
know.
like interacting with anybody? I mean, within the context of the show, that would have like actually been like doing that for her to actually have that reaction.
I know.
Just briefly to talk about what his name's Lux, right? What Lux
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
He said, "I used to think the Jedi were good. Now I don't know. My friend, there's lots of bad things happening, and my friends say the Jedi are to blame."
I find
And that's
it
the
weird
end of that
he's,
thought.
he's blaming the... What about the Republic? You're not going to blame the Republic? No, it's just the Jedi's fault. Like,
Yeah,
what?
Apparently it's just the Jedi. I don't know what makes the Jedi specifically culpable. I'd love him to expand on that perspective at all, but instead we go into like the weird flirting joke, which
Yeah,
is ew.
What?
We had ample opportunity to explain, like, I don't know, why does he think that way? Or why isn't he sure? What specifically has he seen or heard about the Jedi that might make him skeptical that they're good people or that they're a force for good?
Well, there's
Anything at
been
all?
killing.
Yes.
In a war? Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't know that happened.
Also, food for thought here in the expanded universe, like the Separatists were trying to pull off far worse weaponry than what we see in this show. I mean, far worse. Like, Dooku was actually trying to dig up an ancient Sith super weapon that could essentially fire out large blasts of... that's essentially like the Force strain power from Star Wars The Force Unleashed.
Oh, wow.
Like, drain the life out of living beings in, like, large areas to, like, directly combat clone army formations and such. Yeah, it was called the Dark Reaper.
It's so funny that you can go even further like that, because even just within the context of the show, you have... As I said, every other episode, Dooku or Grievous or whoever else is just doing some reprehensible stuff because we need a Saturday morning cartoon villain for
Can you
our
guys still
intrepid
hear me?
heroes.
Yeah, we can
I
still hear you. Can you hear us, Alpha?
Is that a no? I think he can't hear us.
You do.
Oh, no.
I can't hear you guys. I'm going to
You
try
can't-
to relog. Oh, never mind. I can hear you
can you hear
now.
us again? Oh, yay! Yay!
Okay, sick.
Okay.
Brief technical difficulties.
There we go. Glad you're back. Yeah, but it's like, oh yeah, oh, there's been a lot of killing, and my friends say the Jedi are to blame, and yeah, it just takes us right back to, well, what started this? Oh yeah, the Separatists were going to execute 2 Jedi.
Two
And
Jedi
then-
and a Republic senator.
and a
were,
Republic senator, like...
No, and the best part is it's not even
And
like
then they started
clean
executing
execution
the
or anything. It's like
Strike
this
Force of
gladiatorial
Jedi that
show
was
match
specifically
thing.
there to rescue the Senator and the other Jedi.
It's just wild that it's like, yeah, we're going to do the equivalent of feeding the senator to a lion, and apparently everyone's forgotten that happened.
Well, you know, his friends said.
There you go.
But he's not a pawn. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He does things
Maybe-
that good guys do, like think for themselves.
If you want to show that he's not a pawn, maybe like show that he has some insight, or maybe he has a nuanced position. Like,
Oh,
God
yeah.
forbid, I guess.
You guys
Like,
have read the Throne Trilogy, right? Well,
I haven't, no.
Alibi and ME.
I've read the first 2 books.
I wish I had time to read them.
Well, you know that bit about the Clone Wars, how like a ship crashed like on Hanagar or the Nagri homeworld, and it ended up poisoning the environment?
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah, that was a separatist bioweapon that was made by a separatist scientist that was literally recruited like before the war. So,
Oh, wow.
so it nearly got deployed in mainline Republic space and just got lucky and was able to like take it out somewhere else, but still ended up affecting people negatively anyway.
You think we're all the bad guys, but how many of us have you actually met?
Other than military officers like Grievous and Ventress, none, I guess. You and your mother are the
Is
first.
Ventress a military officer?
No, she's a Sith assassin.
And it's like you've met other, like I mentioned 2 of them, the crazy doctor on Naboo synthesizing the virus and the guy trying to exterminate the Lurmen.
Yeah.
So
I would have said
there's-
that the Nouveau Vindi would have been a lot more dangerous with his plans had he been allowed to go forward, because there's no way that something like that wouldn't have ended up like affecting Separatist space negatively at all.
Yeah.
There's no way that wouldn't have like came back around and gotten in their face.
Mm-hmm.
No, of course not.
Does the show honestly want us to believe that Ahsoka has never met a Separatist that isn't a droid, Grievous, Dooku, Ventress, or one of those people you mentioned? In all of her missions, she has never met a Separatist who was just, like, I don't know, working on setting up the new Separatist civilization on whatever planet or whatever, or, like, just some Separatist person. Not a single one?
Apparently.
Right, 'cause
like,
as
it's not like she didn't exist before the war, so,
Well, it's also, as the wars progressed, more people have left the Republic and joined the Separatists. So
yeah.
it's like you should have
That's
met
a good point.
somebody.
She would absolutely know people who are now Separatists. Maybe she doesn't know. Maybe that's something that the show could use. Like, you know, someone she used to know maybe before she was even a Jedi or something like that is now, like, fighting for the Separatist team. And you could give character drama that way, even if you're essentially making up a character. Like, we don't have much to work with Ahsoka is the problem, because they made her up.
Yeah, she's a retcon.
And they didn't really have much planned for, like, I'm working on a script talking about the Slavers arc in season 4 right now.
Cool.
And even at that point, Filoni's like, yeah, we hadn't entirely worked out, like, you know, everything. It's like, season 4? And you still don't know this girl's backstory yet? Like, what?
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, and again, the argument put forward for, oh, we're not so bad is, look at me. I don't look bad, so I'm not bad, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Like, that's literally how deep this show goes. Skin deep.
Yep.
It's
Clearly a person who looks fairly normal couldn't, even normal's like not a tasteful way of phrasing it, who looks fairly conventional, I guess. Surely they couldn't have any reprehensible beliefs.
Exactly.
Like, just looking at Lux, you don't know what's going on in his head. He could believe all manner of things that you find, like, horrible and would never sign off on.
Yeah, but look at him. He doesn't look bad.
Ah, that's true.
Like, watch her reaction to this.
Am I so bad?
She's just like, oh, he's got a point. I didn't think about that.
Wow.
Oh, are you serious? And then again, it cuts away. It's like, okay, we're done with that conversation. We've made our point. She's learned something.
And that's that.
And that's that.
Yeah.
Moving on. I sense Dooku's dirty hand in all of this.
He's just the leader of the Senate. He's not the leader of the entire universe.
Oh, I forgot. You actually admire the man.
We'll never entirely agree on Dooku, my old friend.
Yeah, so it's just like, oh, you know, Dooku's not so bad. Like, he doesn't have as much control as someone potentially maybe could.
I mean,
compelling argument.
The Separatist Parliament shown in this is essentially a puppet government. They hold no real power in military affairs.
Because, yeah, she's not even, like, arguing, you know, he just kind of, like, is the figurehead. No, she's like, no, he leads our Senate, but he's not the leader of the entire universe, so he's not so bad. It's like, what is your point here?
Yeah, he is leading you. What kind of a response is this? Because it doesn't actually address anything. And
exactly.
Do either of you want to talk about what
As I mentioned, none of
believes or says he believes?
There's not a single instance of Separatist military officials actually like going to anyone other than the Count for orders or to brief them. So
Sure seems like he's wielding fairly absolute power.
And the people that wrote this show were idiots.
You think?
That we can agree on. This happens so often that like person A says one thing and then person B says something that's not really a response.
Yeah.
But it gets the conversation moving in the direction they want it to go. It's like
it's a thing you see in a lot of modern Star Wars stuff, frankly, where like
I'm
characters will
surprised
have
that
conversations.
this
but
Senator Bontier character can actually look Padme in the eye, considering all this with her idol trying to execute her on Geonosis.
Mhm.
The show really just doesn't want to think
And
about
then
that.
defending him to her face.
It's not even defending, just completely deflecting the
Yeah.
like the comment. Like,
Man,
so
you actually admire Dooku, and she's like, nah, he's fine, sort of thing.
he doesn't have as much power as a mythical person.
True, he doesn't. So I guess that means he's good. So
There
anyway,
you go.
yeah, about the Republic leaders who also don't have that sort of power.
Yes, that logic check.
I mean, like Palpatine is vying for that level of power. Like
Yep.
he doesn't even have it yet.
So I guess
Nobody
he's not
has
that
that kind of
bad.
power. Exactly.
I guess so. Palpatine's just a G. Like, he's a real nice guy.
There you go.
And then yeah, she just totally like, now let's not talk about Dooku. Let's talk about how to end this war. It's like, because the leader of our Senate certainly is not a topic worth discussing if we want to, sway our Senate to move for peace.
You'd think he might have something to do with that.
No.
Considering he leads the Senate. I don't know. In the same way, if I was trying to end the war, like from the Republic side, I might go and ask Palpatine. Because, he's in charge. He's got some sway from being in charge.
Padme even was doing that. She was like, "Hey, Anakin, you gotta like talk to the council. They gotta talk to Chancellor Palpatine because we gotta end this war." But then Mina here is just like, "What? No, we don't have to involve Dooku at all. What are you talking about?" I guess the Separatist Senate is organized a little differently.
The Republic Senate is holding a critical vote on whether or not to escalate the war effort. However, many of the delegates are undecided as to what to do.
You would find the Separatist Parliament in a similar dilemma.
I am certain if you could convince your representatives to extend an olive branch of peace towards the Republic, there might be enough sympathy in the Senate to finally open negotiations.
I'm kind of annoyed by this entire affair because even ignoring the fact that this is all a sham because, the Palpatine and Dooku are in cahoots, these two institutions, like, again, you don't go to war for no reason. So these two institutions have legitimate grievances with one another that have caused them to reach this point that they are going to war. That doesn't just mutually fade to the point of, let's just not do the war thing anymore, like, readily. Certainly not with nothing seemingly having been accomplished on either side.
And like it almost feels like, if anything, the separatists are the people who like actually want something and they like see the Republic as corrupt. So it's like, and when Padme suggested to the Republic Senate, hey, maybe we could negotiate, they're like, what? You want to surrender? But then Mina here is like, hey, maybe we could negotiate. And they're like, oh yeah, no, maybe
Everyone cheers.
It's like, wouldn't you guys more than anything be like, no, we're not going to surrender? Like, they're corrupt and we want to be separate from them. Like,
is such hilarious caricature politics that just exists to like get across this really, really forced and basic messaging of, like the good people are getting, there's good people on both sides and they're getting squashed by the war profiteers who are the real evil people who are ruining it for everyone. Because like, I don't know, this sort of gives
They're
the
also
impression
making the Republican separatist patriots look like bad guys in this as well.
Yep. That's exactly the thing. That they're sort of making it feel like everyone who isn't exactly Palpatine, Dooku, Grievous, and so on is just that they're all just ready for peace. None of them really care about this. And I'm sorry, but I don't care how much subterfuge you've got going on. You can't convince that like a galaxy's worth of people in that sense to just continue on in a war that they don't want just through whatever like scheming and conniving you have. This would all make so much more sense if they just wanted to fight because they had legitimate reasons for wanting to fight, which they do, but they just don't really want to talk about them.
No.
Because that's not the sort of thing this episode wants to deal with.
That's too much.
They can't handle the
22
questions.
minutes. We've only got 22 minutes.
No time.
Filoni likes to harp on that.
God, can you imagine in like a good show, an arc like this might take place over the course of an entire season?
Yeah.
Pretty sure they flipped
this sort of thing,
Padme's political allegiances for this show as well.
Oh, really?
Like you might get that
Yeah,
scene.
I believe she's like affiliated with the Republic Loyalist Committee in like the rest of the franchise, and is actively working to try to keep planets from seceding from the Republic during the war.
Oh, yeah.
Through negotiation.
Right.
And
so it is sort of an American Civil War thing then.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and in a show that works on like a seasonal basis, you could have like obviously an improved version of that first scene in the Senate take place towards the beginning of the season, and then you'd spend a long while building to the point where like it looks like peace might actually be possible, so that there's something actually there's some actual stakes when it then gets like dashed. Which also then doesn't work great still in the context of us already knowing because of the films that this can't come to anything. There's a sense of dramatic irony there, I guess, but it's really hard to keep it interesting when we know it can't succeed.
Yeah. There's an aspect where it's like, I feel like they shouldn't have been telling stories so close to the main events, the main conflicts, the main characters. And
I completely agree.
Yeah, it's disappointing because apparently it was George who was like, no, this is how we're gonna do it. And
of course, it was George.
So it's just kind of like, why though? Why?
I tend to discount how much George was actually involved with this show, considering like Red Tails was being worked on at the same time, and Crystal Skull, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he wasn't heavily involved, but like he was still involved. I mean, I think especially in development and production phase. But then when it actually came time to make the show, he was more so just like, here's an idea, do something with it. And then everything was up to me and the team to actually execute.
How many lives on both sides have to end before we see the futility? Surely there's room in the galaxy for Confederate and Republic planets to coexist. I move that we immediately open peace negotiations with Chancellor Palpatine on Coruscant.
It's like, that's literally why you're fighting.
Yes.
To have that coexistence.
That's literally the entire point. Like, unless the Separatists entered this war intending to go and take over the Republic, at which point, what were you hoping to accomplish then by doing so?
It doesn't make any sense.
I hate this little part of the speech we get, by the way. The idea that, like, yeah, so lots of people are dying and nothing's happened yet, so it's completely futile and it was all a waste. So we should stop now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Not to be the warmonger in the room, I guess, but like the war could go somewhere. It doesn't appear to be deadlocked. Stuff is happening. This isn't World War I, where we're literally fighting over inches of ground.
Right, yeah. It's great.
And I have to keep saying, you don't go into a war with no intent to accomplish anything. You go into a war hoping to achieve something.
Yeah, yeah. And like that, what she was saying, at the bare minimum is what we know they want.
Yeah.
And like...
And so...
She's just like... It's futile, guys. Let's just open peace negotiations, because the thing that we're fighting for, we could have that without a war, maybe?
feel like everyone just starts looking at each other like, so why are we at war then?
Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't we just
No, they
secede?
stand up and they start, well, cheering and jeering.
Yeah, because this is the good perspective, so we have, plenty of cheering for you to hear. There is some jeering too, of course, but
Yes, it's minimal.
All in favor of initiating peace negotiations with the Galactic Republic, say aye.
Is anyone actually counting this, by the way? Because that seems like hard to count. Everyone's just
thinking
shouting out "I."
Yeah.
It's like, at least in the Republic they have got buttons, and so I mean, like, obviously that can be tampered with as well, but like I feel like that would be a much faster way and
Just
more
imagine-
accurate to vote than just to have a whole bunch of people like shouting all at once.
I imagine some poor droid scribe just off to the side of each shot, just looking around, trying to note down every single "I."
Maybe they're doing one of those kind of things where it's like, oh, cheer really loudly for the act that you like the best, and then people kind of vaguely try to gauge what cheer is loudest, and then that's how they choose the winner. It's like
Vibes-based politics,
Exactly.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Nay! The ayes have it.
That was easy.
And yeah, that's it. That's all it takes.
Literally 2 people voted nay. Like, what?
Well,
Everyone wanted it. So how the hell did this war keep going as long as it did?
Literally.
Nobody knows.
We need fighting to feed the machine and our profits.
Way to make it explicit, man.
Nuanced.
Literally looking at the camera says, "We need war to feed the war profiteering machine." Thanks, man. Like, I already got that, and I'm pretty sure a kid would already have got that, and even they might find it too, like, simple. Like, yeah, this guy's the bad guy. Okay.
But it's like this episode is held up by so many fans. It's like, oh, you want nuance? That's the episode to watch. That's the one where you see just how nuanced TCW is.
And I can't disagree. This is the episode where you see how nuanced TCW is.
Yeah,
But
there you go.
the answer is that it isn't very, because fundamentally this show is a kids show. Even if it's trying to be more than that sometimes, it's failing. It doesn't deal with like complex topics well. Like right here, we're just taking an extremely complicated issue by all rights, and we're boiling it down to, well, there's some good people on either side, yeah, and they probably would vote for peace if they could, apparently. So I guess everyone's just friends, other than the evil people. I guess the people that, like, sincere, good people have no way that they could have legitimate grievances with one another over something or another in a galaxy of, like, untold trillions.
Oh, that's not
Great. Good to know.
This
Does she have her hood up still? Are they not still on the Separatist capital? Should she not probably still have her hood up?
Oh, probably. I'm sure no one will recognize her.
Hey, isn't that Senator Amidala? Hold on.
No, she's just she has one of those faces that just blends into a crowd.
Right.
You should hurry.
Oh, there we go.
You really believe the Republic will vote for peace?
I hope so. I wouldn't want to meet you on the battlefield. For your sake.
Oh.
That's a bit tone deaf.
Yeah, it's so bad. So bad.
I wouldn't want to have to kill you with my lightsaber. Like, I don't know.
I'm a good guy. I'm a Jedi. Like, look at me. I wouldn't want to kill you. So, but I would. And it's like he's like, "Oh, you think they'll vote for peace?" I mean, I literally just heard yesterday morning that they believe you're animals that cannot be negotiated with. But sure, yeah, it'll be good, I'm sure.
It's also funny considering I don't think that Ahsoka would actually use her lightsaber to attack Lux. I think she'd just try to beat him up barehanded.
Maybe. Either which way, she's basically threatening him. And it's like, you do remember that his dad was killed by Republic forces, and now you're just like, yeah, no, I'd kill you, but I don't want to.
Well, isn't that
so
nice?
Let's hope the war ends.
Yeah, like, I think everyone's hoping that the war ends and then they get the outcome that they want. But in trying to determine if the war can end, both sides will have to think about making concessions. And it's like, are we willing to concede this, or should we just keep fighting? That's how this should go. But instead, everyone's just willing to be like, I'm done fighting now, so I'm like, regardless of what happens next, let's make it so that we stop fighting.
Yeah. No, I was gonna wait until everything. It was like we basically had like a almost unanimous vote for peace from the separatists, and then when the Republic hears about that, then it seems they as well are like, yeah, let's do peace. And then all of a sudden there's a supposed attack from the separatists and a supposed attack from the Republic. And suddenly everyone on both sides is like, what? No, we are going to keep fighting because they attacked us.
Yep. As if they're
before peace negotiations had even begun, like we were just kind of voting on the idea of it, and the war is still ongoing, and there was attacks, and so now we're not going to try this whole peace thing.
Nope. Well, you see, we got attacked, and clearly, well, first off, clearly no attacking happens in a war, and I guess secondly, certainly there is no such thing as a bad actor who could be poorly motivated to want to keep the war going, or someone who's willing to be like extremist about it. Like, I don't know, take some random senator who really believes in war against the separatists or whatever. Clearly, they could never stoop to such violent means. So weird that no one points out how conveniently it all goes off.
Oh yeah, no, it's ridiculous at the end of this how nobody asks any questions or considers any potential reasons why this may have happened while there was still a discussion ongoing while the war is ongoing. Like nothing is set in stone. You guys are literally in the act of voting about whether to even talk about peace.
Yep.
And there's an attack and it's like, well, we're not going to talk about it then.
Nope, none of that. It's like, it's such caricature politics again. It's like, they did a bad thing, so I'm not talking to them anymore.
Within the context of this show, Padme being on Raxus would have been the closest that Newt Gunray would have been able to ever get to her to actually kill her.
Oh, right.
Can you imagine she's just walking around with her hood down?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the fact that Dooku sees her in the Senate, you really could just let Newt Gunray know and you'd go after her with droids.
Well, I mean, her hood was up in the Senate. Like, they were kind of hiding in the back.
It's so crazy
that it wasn't really working, though.
I guess it's a good thing Dooku wasn't there in person, because otherwise he might have sensed her.
Yeah.
But
hey, there's A, a Jedi here, and B, a Republic senator here.
Maybe the creators actually did something right in having him phone in for that one then, rather than having him there.
They probably realized,
But then also they have other scenes where someone in a hologram senses, like they have Maul sense Ahsoka in season 7. Via hologram. It's like, okay.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, awkward. Just gonna ignore that.
I'm surprised there were no separatist patriots on Senator Bonteri's staff.
Yeah, no, I guess everyone's just as chill as she is.
Commence phase 2. Proceed with high security infiltration.
Imagine if someone saw that.
Or if that call was intercepted.
Yeah.
I mean, signals intelligence is a thing that exists.
Why do you need to tell them to come in phase 2, by the way? Or like, literally contact them by this universe's equivalent of phone in such a way that if anyone looked over here and saw this little cleaning robot with a picture of General Grievous coming out of it, I think they might get a bit confused.
Questions. There will be questions.
Love how they're legitimately going around and cleaning.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't understand why.
waiting for the go-ahead.
They gotta sell it, man.
It's like, why didn't they
Gotta
just go
stick to their cover,
straight?
otherwise they'll be smoked out.
Like, the attack should have already happened.
Particularly with how lax Coruscant security is.
But I guess they have to have the attack happen while the vote is ongoing for maximum tension.
They really made Palpatine look unsubtle as possible when it came to the whole simultaneous terrorist attacks on both governments. Someone would have put together the suspicious timing.
Yeah, it doesn't take a genius to go, hey, so just as both sides were about to extend offers of peace, there are suspicious terrorist attacks against both sides' like home worlds.
Yeah, and Coruscant hasn't been attacked in 1,000 years. That's not suspicious at all.
I guess the droids just show up. Maybe just nobody's been trying hard enough. You just send some droids and they just, drive around.
That's Commander Fox.
Generator maintenance, eh? Well, everything checks out. Good luck down there.
Good luck?
Wait a second.
Random
They're
street
maintenance
sweeper
droids too?
Yeah, apparently the street sweepers double as generator maintenance.
Maybe that's why he's saying good luck. He has no idea how they're going.
It's like, I guess you have clearance, but I don't know what you're gonna do. Yeah, good luck, I guess. And we're wasting so much time on this.
And he didn't find that suspicious.
Like, this is a pretty long-running trend with the show. Is like we are just bleeding runtime to this sort of thing, either action sequences or the setup to things that we could easily infer happening. Well, not when it's ridiculous like this. Like, this shouldn't be happening, but
Yeah, no, I've been noticing that too recently. That it's like, oh, well, we only got so much time. It's like, you're wasting time. You're wasting time all the time.
Yep. And it's on stuff that's good for a kids show. Like, sure, if you want to do your kids show action stuff, but when you're trying to do your deep, nuanced plot line, you really shouldn't be burning your runtime on this sort of thing. You have so many better things you could be doing with your time.
Power generators are that way.
So, what if he hadn't corrected them? Would they just be like, I guess the vote would have gone through before.
Yeah. Can you imagine if he just said, I don't know. I just work here. I'm security.
Just like, or just said nothing, like, oh, stupid droids. They'll figure it out.
I don't speak droid. Or like,
yeah.
With how like tight they cut this, there's so many ways this could have just gone nowhere, essentially.
Stupid droids.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
In the past, whenever we've reached out our hands in peace, they've been slapped away so easily.
When you say in the past, like when?
Yeah.
I thought it was illegal.
I was gonna ask that too. I was like, when have we seen this?
I don't remember any of this. This wasn't shown to us, so you can't just say that this happened.
But they can, because it's an anthology, and we're supposed to just fill in the gaps when they mention random things that have happened. Well, they've happened, obviously.
I know that this is sincere. I've been in contact with my old friend Mina Bonteri, and the origin of the proposal is with her.
Bonteri?
So at what point does Padme start suspecting the Chancellor?
You might think, hey, because this, from her perspective, could look incredibly suspicious. So who was the only person I told who I was in contact with?
Mm-hmm.
And what happens to that person?
Mm-hmm.
Wonder where this information might have come from. Because, it's so suspicious. Like, very, very blatantly suspicious. So it doesn't take much from understanding, hey, this could be a setup to, I wonder who's setting up. Maybe it's Palpatine. That would make a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah. No, I just wonder, because, like, she's so open with him with the information and everything. It's like, I'm just trying to kind of get in, because I guess it's from Revenge of the Sith when she has that group. I mean, all the scenes were deleted basically, but they're kind of starting a mutiny in the background. So it's like, I at what point Because then, yeah, like people always say, oh, there's so much, there's progression throughout TCW. You can see things changing. It's like, okay, so at what point do we see Padme starting to distrust the Chancellor?
That would have been a neat progression that we could have maybe had throughout the seasons. But because of the anthology nature and because the show's not actually that interested in character writing, I guess that's not happening.
Yeah. I think
in the EU, I believe it was primarily because Padme was brought into the confidences of Bail Organa, who, after former Supreme Chancellor Valorum's death in an assassination planned by Palpatine, Bail was beginning to see the writing on the wall with what Palpatine was doing, because Valorum clued him in on it, and she was in cahoots with Bail and Mon Mothma at that point.
Do you have, like, an alarm system?
No.
They've apparently got weapons in here, but they don't have an alarm system.
And are there no other guards? And can the guards outside not hear any of this? I don't know, man.
I guess they figured the guy at the gate would maybe know something. Like, we don't send sweeper droids to do maintenance on the generator. And so, yeah, but once they get past that guy, then, they're golden.
Yeah, they only have to get past one idiot commander, and then it's a straight shot. This would have been, like, genuinely a very clever maneuver if they were, like, pulling this in anticipation of, like, the invasion of Coruscant. Knocking out the primary power generators for the entire planet and plunging the planet into darkness and chaos just before one of the Separatist fleet drops out of hyperspace and attacks the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, that would probably leave critical defensive infrastructure like planetary turbo lasers and orbital space stations without power.
Yeah, because you'd think after this, security would bump up a
pickings.
notch. I guess stopping the peace negotiations was really important.
Hey, Theo, have you seen the Genndy Tartakovsky micro-series or no?
Yeah, I have. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I'm a big Genndy fan, though, so because I grew up watching Samurai Jack, so.
I haven't seen his other stuff. I've just seen the 03 Clone Wars, but yeah, it's good. Oh, there's your security measures.
There?
Great. Did he think that was gonna work?
He's got a little pea shooter. No button to raise an alarm.
Center mass, like.
Yeah, I'm just annoyed about the fact that it seems like all sort of non-military manufactured blasters kind of all look the same, like Han Solo's blaster. You ever notice that?
No, I don't notice little details like
that.
that.
It's like the Mauser with the scope on it. They're basically all that. Like all the pirate guns, the gun that this guy's holding.
There is a move to vote on the proposed bill to lift regulations on the banking plan.
Dooku promised he would stop this vote.
You really shouldn't say that in the Senate.
Oh, God, was my mic on? Oops.
You just said that out loud in the Senate. Can you imagine anyone listens back to what was going on his, like, little flotilla thing?
I think it would have been funny if he said that right next to the Wookiee delegation. See what happens. I could just imagine, like, Wookiee diplomats, like, jumping into his pod and throwing him off.
Oh, that would be hilarious. Now I want to see someone animate that. That would be so funny.
We're under attack!
Where's the Senate Guard?
Where's anyone?
Yeah, but like the Senate Guard should be specifically trying to get that. Apparently, the power generators are the only one of its kind on Coruscant. Take those out, and it's literally entire plant-wide blackout.
Yeah, but like, what are the second? Like, there's more explosions ongoing now. It's like, what are those from?
Rioting. I mean, we know that the Hutts have presence here.
stuff is randomly exploding.
Man, I really gotta stop playing devil's advocate when it comes to this series.
It's like I get that. I get that. Like I do that so often. I'm just like, but wait, maybe it makes it. Oh wait, no, it doesn't. I tried.
The bombing of the power generator has been confirmed as a separatist attack.
That was
How do they already know about that? It looks like they still haven't gotten out of this
Yeah, we're under
chamber,
attack.
so how do they know?
Let's stay here. Keep talking about this.
Obviously a tactic to lower our defenses and launch this attack.
What would that?
Vice Chair has
What does that even
no-
look like? What defenses are lowered by a discussion of, hey, should we maybe have peace?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Technically, the Vice Chair shouldn't even be speaking up during these discussions.
Yeah.
He's got like no authority to be chiming in here. He's not a senator.
Yeah, and it's like, how long ago was the separatist offer of peace given? Like, have they like called all their troops and everything back? Like, oh, by the way, guys, we've put on the table the idea of negotiating, so everybody stop doing what you're doing for a little bit. It's like,
I mean, this
what
is
if
levels of
attack was
buffoonery that
already
have
in the
been seen
works?
since MASH.
There's so many reasons that it's like this shouldn't overturn this so completely, so quickly, but everyone's just like, nope.
We need a bank loan to get more troops now. What are we waiting for?
Is this session still in, I guess, session while an attack is potentially going on outside?
Yes, I guess.
And it's just fine that people start randomly shouting and fear-mongering because everyone who isn't a named character in this is like a caricature.
Yeah, you know, they've been
given little choice.
To
ensure the safety of the Republic, we must deregulate the banks.
I love how there's no vote anymore.
Yep.
The Chancellor's just like, I've decided.
He just said so, and that's fine, I guess.
Very, very organized politics here.
And Padme's like, don't we still have to vote? If I recall correctly, does Palpatine already have, like, supreme control? I don't think he does, right? Like, he can't do those things yet? I
No,
forget
he
how it
wouldn't
works.
have unilateral authority yet. Like, it's only towards the end of the war that he's able, like, in Revenge of the Sith itself, that he's able to set up the whole governorship and Grand Moff system that eventually replaces the Senate.
Yeah, so it's like, he just completely bypasses the vote, and Padme's just like, aw, shucks, and doesn't say anything.
We have eyes and ears everywhere, Ahsoka. That was dangerous and careless going to Raxus. Not to mention illegal.
You would do the same. You do the same all the time.
This
Since when?
was too much.
Maybe so. But I realized something. The politics of this war are not as black and white as I once thought they were.
Thanks for spelling it out. Also, they are. They are kind of
they
black and
literally
white.
are.
Really, what did she learn, actually?
Well, she
If you
didn't learn a
look
damn
good, you
thing
are
about the
good.
logistics.
If otherwise, you're bad.
There you go.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. No, her whole thing. Oh, I realize it's not so black and white. It's like, when did you learn that?
And like,
how did you learn that?
To try and apparently show that she's learned that the Separatists aren't like this monolithic force of like evil, we dangle a single kind of nice person in front of her whose beliefs she doesn't actually know anything about. Like,
And then there's this attack that is like, oh yeah, we offered peace, but just so we could stab you in the back. And she's just like, you know what? It's not so black and white. I realize that now.
That's what it looks like from her perspective. It's like, yeah, this person, like the one nice person, I guess, immediately got killed. So like, why does she now think, I don't know if it's as black and white as I once thought it was? It seems even more black and white now. The only good thing you have ever seen come out of the Separatists just got killed.
Yeah, but I mean, like that's technically like in the next episode, and she's not in the next episode.
Yep.
Speaking of which, we were hoping to get through 2 episodes in 2 hours. We got through 1 in 2 hours.
Well, that's just how it goes sometimes, I guess.
Oh yeah, no, and I was hoping to get to the second one because it is a good follow up seeing the two together. But yeah, no, Ahsoka's not in the next one, and that's when they find out Mina was killed, and yeah, it's kind of funny because Dooku's like, oh yeah, like we're rescinding our offer for peace because the person who suggested it was killed in a Republic attack. And again, it's like, huh, that's kind of funny that we were attacking them. Did anyone know about this attack on the Republic capital that just so happened to catch? And it's like, that's the other thing, right? It's like, didn't the separatists learn? Like, oh yeah, they're like, we attacked apparently their capital planet and destroyed their power generators. Like, did we do that?
Yeah,
Like,
pretty much every single separatist with them. I don't remember that. I don't vote on that, or no one in military command told us that was going to happen.
yeah,
Dooku, what's going on?
yeah, but like, yeah, on this, we don't see that conversation. We see the side on the Republic, like learning. Oh yeah, you guys killed Mina Bonteri, and no one goes like, wait, we did? What?
And that doesn't stick out as incredibly strange to anyone.
Apparently not.
But it's also funny because Dooku's like, we took our offer of peace off the table. It's like, does that even matter anymore? They've already, like, the Chancellor has already said, no, banks are deregulated. We are ordering more clones. It's like, does it even matter if their offer for peace is still on the table at that point? Like, why do we need to be shown that, like, no, they're not going to offer that anymore? But then, yeah, Padme ends up getting the order for more clones overturned, or at least that's what's implied, because everybody cheers and smiles. So that's
It would have been
the
a more
implication.
nuanced bit if it was actually like a Republic commando team that was sent in by Palpatine to actually like kill Bonteri, and they were actually like spotted, but they probably wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Especially when the clones are being portrayed as unilaterally the good guys.
But I also I love that Padme knows that like people are being targeted, right? Because they're like trying to get support. She knows they're being targeted, and then like they go and visit the Corran senator here, and then afterwards she's just like, no, I'm just gonna take a walk by myself at night. What could
Alone.
go wrong? It's like,
What is she expecting to happen?
yeah, it's like, it's so stupid.
And it's used as an excuse to waste so much of our time on another action sequence.
Yeah,
how
'cause they
much
go
of the
on this-
episode is lost to that huge chase? Oh god, it goes on and on.
It goes on and on and on and on. Like it goes up to here basically. So it's like 5 minutes. Yeah,
also,
whole
I know we're not
5
going to
minutes.
get to Jesus. I know we're not going to get to cover this episode just yet, but like with regards to the prior episode and this one, I find it so fascinating that what's her name, Tekla, isn't in the prior one at all, and she's just conspicuously around a lot in this one, right when she's going to be relevant for some good old exploitation for political capital.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, no, it's great. And then yeah, so Ahsoka was in the last one very heavily, but then in this one, she's just completely gone.
I guess she's just on a mission with Anakin now.
There's no more
she's busy,
for her to gawk at,
Yeah.
so no point in her being there.
Yeah, no, it's such a mess.
Do we maybe want to go over our list of talking points here? I know some of them only really apply to episode 11, but maybe we should just kind of go through, make sure we touched on everything we wanted to touch on. I know we didn't talk about why the Jedi shouldn't have diplomatic immunity. Alpha, I think that was one of your points.
Yeah, they wouldn't have that sort of thing that'd be used as a shield on neutral worlds when they're actively aiding the Republic in the war effort. They can't simultaneously claim that while actively aiding one side.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
in EU, there were certainly like outlier Jedi that ended
Oh,
up
there's so
like
there's so
declaring
many things
neutrality.
that don't make sense. You notice one thing, and then you notice another thing, and then another thing, and it's just like this huge snowball effect. That's like the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm briefly reminded of one of the early Republic Comics storylines was about potential civil war within the Jedi, like a little Jedi schism, and that was purely due to the outbreak of the war. And a Jedi that had allied himself with Dooku, he was pulling in strings to essentially make Master Windu look untrustworthy by bringing in Asajj Ventress to attack himself, who was presenting himself as a moderate at the time, and other dissenting opinions within within leadership of like certain Jedi groups that had already factionalized within the Order. So, yeah, even amongst the Order, it was split. And in later stories, we actually get Jedi that have declared neutrality and have pulled out of the war completely, as well as Jedi going into exile.
That's definitely something that would have been interesting to see.
Mhm.
But yeah, like no nuance to be found here. We don't do that. We just cut away.
Reading through the list here, one of the things like we kind of touched on it briefly about how like it wasn't just the clones fighting the war. Like there was, my brain is saying militia, but it was like military forces from the Republic planets. And it's interesting, we never see that, but in Padme's speech in episode 11, she does mention that I support our brave soldiers, whether they come from the clone factories or from any of the thousands of systems loyal to the Republic. So she does mention that these soldiers exist, but we never see them. We only ever see clones. So it's
Well, we technically can count the fact that we've got non-cloned Republic naval officers, like the humans like Admiral Colburn, Tarkin, and Yularen, and others.
Yeah. Really, they're the only ones we ever see. But yeah, I think that that covers everything we can cover, seeing as we've reached our end time here. I got things to do and bed. I've got bed to get to.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks both of you for joining us. I really appreciate that.
Thanks
it's
for
nice
having me.
having some extra voices, some extra thoughts.
But yes, looks like we'll be returning for a part 2.
I look forward to it.
Yay! Oh man. I did not expect this to take 2 hours to go through one episode, which I really should have, because that's usually how long it takes us to do our analysis series.
I mean, usually it takes us like 3 hours to get through one episode with just the two of us.
Yeah, but that's because we get interrupted all the time.
I've noticed when watching things with friends and stuff, it always takes longer than you think it does, and then it always takes a bit longer than you think it does. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You try and account for the fact that, okay, this is going to take a while, and then you never give yourself quite enough time, because there's always just more to talk about.
Yeah.
We could have stopped like many more times to talk about many more things, but like, I'm sure subconsciously, at least sometimes, we were just like, I can let that go. We need to get a move on.
Yeah. There's a few times I was like, oh yeah, I could say, oh, I am not going to say that because we need to get through this.
Yeah.
Okay then. I don't think there's much else to say. And
thanks for having me again. I'm gonna hop off now. So
all right. Have a
see you
great
guys later on.
Evening? Is it evening for you?
It is 2 a.m.
Oh my goodness. Go to bed. I am sorry.
No, it's all right.
My
Don't worry
sympathies,
about it.
Theo.
I have a fairly bad schedule right now, so it's fine.
Well, sleep well. Sleep.
I'll do my best.
Sleep
Hope you have a rest of your days, evenings. I'm not sure what time it might be. Whatever time of day it is, have a good one of it.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Good night.
Good night, Alpha.
We are no strangers to background noise.
Yeah, there was a few times here where my son was putting up a fuss, and I'm like, I hope they can't hear that.
I heard it. I heard
Came
it.
through a couple of times.
Yeah, I was able to hear it.
That's okay.
I was like, should I mute? Should I not? I don't know.
Oh well.
Oh well.
Not the end of the world.
His voice will forever be on the internet.
There you go.
I'm screaming about something or other.